a while, David, so glad to be back on. We can make this quick, 20 minutes tops, but let's start with some of our stories of the day. So, for stories, TikTok made its AI ad creation tool free. I don't know, do you want to kind of hit on that? Like, why did that happen? Is this a big deal?
I think it's a major deal. We already have a couple of clients testing it out. We already seen some really fun ads. We already seen how it can't pronounce certain things. So I think it's a pretty big deal because we're going to start seeing AI everywhere. AI slop potentially everywhere, depending on how people are utilizing it. Yeah, we're head first into AI here at Anata, and we're trying to develop some tools that help amplify the services, keep up with what's happening in the industries, get smaller to medium-sized brands where they need to be, and AI seems to be that path forward. So I think this is a mega deal for a lot of our accounts, platform-wise and client-wise.
True. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, until now, making lots of ad creatives took a lot of time and money, but with AI, it's getting a lot easier. So, yeah, for sure. Um, let's go into story two. Klaviyo is turning social followers into email subscribers. Um, yeah, do you want to touch a little bit on there too?
Yeah, we've always tried to like as marketers, you kind of try and grab that audience no matter where they are into your own feedback loop. So you want to be able to own that audience no matter what. And an audience that you semi-own but don't have control over is your social audience. You see in like people with hundreds of thousands of followers, brands with hundreds of thousands of followers, trying to convert from a follow there to an email. Why? Because email converts at like 20% and something crazy. It converts really, really high, depending on your particular audience. It's like 20% of your revenue comes from email in certain cases. And so you definitely want to make sure that those targets, that particular audience base, is you can reach them, but they're there for a reason. So I'm really interested to see how this rolls out because that particular audience likes you because they like your social presence. They like you or your influencer network because they like the content that they push out. Are they going to like those being blown up by emails, right? Are they going to like your email strategy? So that's going to be interesting. I found that, the Amazon audience likes Amazon, likes your brand and likes Amazon, but doesn't mean that you're trying to force them to your website. It's always going to work, right? For that audience. So you might just be investing into some bad marketing, marketing strategies if you start putting too much in there. So test it, be aware that this might not be what they want. And that's okay, right? Find the sub niche that is and just focus on that. So having a little drip campaign, pushing them, that particular audience, a few emails here and there seems okay. But I like how Klaviyo is the one who's really pushing this. I think once you get a lot of these mainstream technology companies to start adding in their own versions of like what third-party tools used to do, it's become more common enough for people to want to do that. That yeah makes sense. So yeah, just a couple thoughts there.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, let's move into story three. Shopify moving deeper into wholesale. Um, yeah, can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, so they opened up all of their B2B tools a couple months ago. Just then, hey, look, anybody, every single account has access to these B2B tools. And now they're opening them more into the wholesale side. Shopify is trying to delineate themselves a little bit more than just direct to consumer. They're trying to be your go-to channel to manage all channels, right? They're going to be the dashboard to manage every single channel. Now, for those who are always interested in wholesale, most of the brands that we work with are like, and some of them are really against it. Most of them are like, yes, I would love to get my products into stores. And there's nothing more, you know, proud than when you start seeing your product for the first time get into a store, no matter how big, regional, something small, tiny drugstore, local, like even just to see it on a shelf next to probably some really big players, there's something exciting about that. And so Shopify probably knows that. They probably know that these small to medium-sized businesses really want to go that route, and they have a longer game plan than D2C and D2C tools, which is like, let's actually help these brands grow. So good on Shopify again. Once you start seeing these bigger players start implementing internal tools that used to be third party, we just talked about with Klaviyo, then we know something bigger is kind of happening. They're catching on. So brands can definitely start seeing where it is. If I were, some of these other third party channels that kind of buy and sell wholesale, then yeah, we would want them to start, thinking of outside the box ways to start getting some other tools behind them. What makes them want to stay with them? So we have a couple of our own clients that are in that boat right now that use these third party tools. And do they use both? Do they use one? It's kind of another discussion to have.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think as paid advertising gets more expensive, brands are starting to reconsider those channels they ignored a few years ago. Okay, but let's get into just the bigger theme of today's episode. Do you want to open that up for us?
Yeah. So it's turning borrowed attention into an owned audience. Um, Borrowed attention is social, right? And it's exactly what we're talking about, what we talked about with Klaviyo, how they're now implementing some of these social auto replies that converts followers into your own subscribers. That is a huge play, almost untapped. You're talking, what if your email list grew by the amount that your follower list on social grew by? Not just your follower list, but potentially the follower list of all of your other affiliates in your social media groups, right? Like, what if they pushed their followers to your own subscriber list? That would be huge, right? And there's something from the economic standpoint, that seems like if you can tap into that, which I feel like a lot of brands have been able to see a lot of success there, and a lot of brands haven't been able to see success there, it's endless, right? But what's incentivizing enough to get them to that point where they are willing to want to invest more time to the brand, basically, because you're borrowing their attention through social media channels, through channels that you don't own. You don't own Meta, TikTok, you don't own any of those other channels. So what makes them want that? What, you don't own the influencer list either. Like they follow that influencer because of their insights, their honest opinions, because they trust them. Are they going to trust you as much as well? That is a big play here. So a lot of the people that we work with right now in the small to medium sized business networks are really just trying to figure that piece out, right? Because it can be very inexpensive to do something like this. But on the other hand, to get the right influencer networks to start borrowing from to get into your own list, then it could get really expensive. So there's a
Yeah.
little bit of back and forth there.
Yeah, David, I wanted to ask you this question because I think it's pretty important to the topic. But what's more valuable today, 100,000 followers or 20,000 email subscribers?
That's a good question. I think it just depends, really. We'll play like both sides of this though. So like 100,000 followers, it depends. I can get 100,000 followers tomorrow if I had, $500. I'd go get them. You just go buy them, right? Earned 100,000 followers. Like, you earned that. Man, that's so invaluable, because what you're doing to get that is a key cause right there. And what was the other one? 20,000 of subscribers on that email
Yes,
list.
email
Same thing,
subscribers. Yeah.
right? Email subscribers. So like, same thing. We have the opportunity to go acquire a brand right now that has, I think they said 250,000 subscribers. And I'm thinking, holy smokes, 250,000 subscribers. And they're looking and digging deeper into it. And we're like, wait, like, the subscriber list is stale, right? How many of these are actually opted in? Well, not many are opted in. So wait, this means we're already down to 20% of this, which is probably still a significant amount. But the value that we were seeing was like nothing was there. In my opinion, when I'm looking at the evaluation of certain brands, for some reason, my head goes to their email subscription list. I've worked with brands with, they're doing $300 million, and their subscriber list was low. And most of that came from advertising, right? And they didn't really care for LTV through subscription, for emails. So it was like super interesting to see that. But I've seen some smaller brands where their email subscription was, heavy, like, and it produced a lot of revenue. That email subscriber list is owned. And I think if you treat them right, you prune out the people that don't want to be there, and you actually put some effort, man, it might be just invaluable. If I were forced to vote, though, I would say emails. I would
Also,
pick 20,000 emails, right? Just
yeah.
because it takes that extra attention to subscribe and to maintain that subscription to your email, right? And you must be offering some really good education, really good offers. We have this mantra right now in most emails is like ask, ask, ask. But what if you turn that culture into give, 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 ask? And we all heard Gary Vee say that many times before. But you want them to be there because they're not trying to buy. That's what's going to get them to stay there. Right. But if you're just selling them, then that's the first to unsubscribe for me, in my opinion. And a lot of the data shows that as well. So are you creating a brand that actually is giving out some information and you're producing something cool? The ones that I don't unsubscribe from are actually when they produce really cool campaigns. Like, oh man, they're doing this. I I sit next to the biggest, oh, man, what's it called? I'm forgetting the brand name, but I'm gonna butcher this. You know exactly what I'm gonna say.
Mm,
Yeah, what am I gonna say?
no, I don't know.
Okay, I was gonna say the Squatch, Dr. Squatch guy,
Yes, okay.
right? Because they produce some of the coolest campaigns. We were
True.
at a conference and Dr. Squatch like talked about like how they were rolling out new collaborations, but you just want to see what else they come out with, right? And like how creative they are. And that's a cool brand story. They sell soap. What? Right? But how do they sell soap? That's you don't want to miss out. So you want to stay subscribed. They're not technically asking you to buy, but they kind of are. They're kind of showing off like, oh, check this out. Look what we created. Like art almost, right? So you kind of have to be really creative of how you're going about, and not just pruning, but also providing that information to your email subscribers to turn them into them. Now, I don't want to downplay social media, and I'm talking a lot. I'm sorry, Gabe, but I don't
You're
want to
good.
downplay social media here because if you could educate them now through that same, you could have this linear campaign from emails as well as social, and depending on where it starts, right? Chicken or the egg at that point, but depending on where it starts, you can pull them in to your emails. Like, hey, be the first. Like, have a campaign where you treat that email subscriber. They're the first to know before social media, before any other campaign knows, because they are invested. Make them want to stay on that email list. Because that's probably the most important piece there is like, if they're capable and able to invest their time, then you should treat them, like as such, right? Not just compete with everybody else. Because one thing that when they're in an email list is um, they're only seeing you on that page when they're checking that email, right? Whereas social media, man, they're freaking seeing everybody just doom scrolling. So there's a little bit of that too.
No, yeah, I think that's great that you brought up Dr. Squatch. I think they do a good job, and I might throw myself under the bus here, but I'm actually subscribed to their email list, so I'm on their email list. So, but yeah, they do a great like looking at their Instagram, looking at their YouTube. Like they do a pretty good job with the content they make, but even on their emails, they do a pretty good job as well. And I was just thinking about this, like if a social platform disappeared tomorrow, Dr. Squatch would still kill it. I feel like on their email side. And so I think from the brands and people listening to this pod, I think that's something that you can consider or even discuss among yourselves like, hey, how can I make my emails better if social platforms disappear tomorrow? So thank you for bringing that up,
Right.
David. That's good.
Yeah, good job.
Okay. I kind of want to touch on this as well. Um, if everyone can make ads with AI now, what actually becomes the competitive advantage?
Ads are like very top of funnel there, right? You're just trying to capture their attention. Now, where things get really interesting is the overall campaign of that ad. Some people just like want to run an ad, get the conversion, want to run the ad, get the conversion, but you need to run an ad for each segmentation of that pipeline. You run an ad, what do they do? Do they watch it? How long do they watch it for? Do they click through? Well, then that pulls them down to the next segmentation. Now, because everybody can do this, you shouldn't just be running ads for the conversion at that one given point. You should be running an ad for each level now. And you can with AI. You can produce all of those assets as a small to medium sized brand. You can easily do that. So that's the thing that I would definitely suggest now is like, okay, let's just take this whole landscape. This is my offer, right? I sell soap, since we're on the Dr. Squatch kind of
Yeah.
thing. I sell soap. I want to run an ad. It's just a plain ad. I have an offer, maybe testing something, a couple of different ads there, and I want to see the impact of each one of them. So boom, run the ad. I can see that ad X wins. Okay, where do they go? They run here. All right, well, now that I've ran the first iteration of that ad, what's going to educate them a little bit more? I know they're a little bit interested, right? I caught their attention and maybe I lost it. So now I'm going to run that second ad and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to go a little bit deeper. I'm going to A/B test again, and I'm going to try and drive them down the pipeline a little bit more. In some cases, boom, you already got them to the bottom. That's great. Segment out the audience and just don't give up. But you still need a handhold all the way down to the point of sale. So what you need to do is you need to run AI to run these A/B tests. What's working, what's not working. Okay, here's the ad that's getting the biggest click-through rate, but the biggest bounce rate. All right, so I know the hook is good. I know the offer sucks at the end, so let's change the offer. Boom, now I have another iteration of 10, 15 ads. If you look at a lot of this ad creators out there right now, they are running so many ads. Go onto the Facebook ad library. Pick your favorite brand. I mean, if they're not over 100 different ads at any given moment, then they're probably, it's very surprising, basically. I bet you they are running it. But when we're running, even from Anata's competitive standpoint, I'm always looking, what are they offering? What are they saying? How are they saying? What do we need to do to say it? Now, we don't run paid ads, but it's very interesting to see how they're offering their products and services based on what their hooks are. And I overlap that with what is our customers saying? What are they saying? What's our sales cycle saying? What are we able to scale that the customer might not be seeing? And what are they saying that we're not seeing? So from an AI perspective, you can create all of these A/B tests all the way for each segmentation. You literally have no excuse to be able to handhold all the way down. It's not like because you're running 20x the ads as before, you're getting and your ads are increasing in budget or increasing in price. What you're doing is you're probably going to get the better price per or better CPM and better cost per click because Google, TikTok, Meta, they all know that this ad is going to be performing the best. So they're going to make sure that that's the best deal. And then they're going to keep going down and giving you that best rate. If you just did this before, one ad each level, well, you're probably paying a premium, right? Who knows what you're doing? But through AI, you're saving on a lot of that CPM and CPC. You're able to actually test your offers and get all the way down to the very bottom. So from creating, one ad to 5 ads, you're creating 20 ads to 100 ads like your competitors are. And you're able to hold the hand of your customer all the way down to the sale, right, of those prospects. So through AI, I think that advertising side, there is no excuse to be able to start creating these ads. TikTok is on the forefront when it comes to that. I've seen some of their ad creations, seen how bad they can be, but it's as easy as fixing it right then and there, right? A bad ad that you go pay $10,000 for in a shoot and models and an agency and it turns out bad, well, that sucks because you should have fixed that a long time ago, right? How much preparation. But now it's like, all right, that one's bad. You wasted 15 minutes of your time and you go create another one.
Yeah.
It's night and day. It is crazy right now.
Yeah, it's super fast. And so as you were saying that, some of the things that came to my mind were, does it, and maybe I'm wrong, David, but I feel like it's a little bit of both, but I feel like it's this ad game that we're in is becoming more volume instead of quality. And then it seems like for me, I mean, I'm not creative when it comes to to ads at all. You definitely need a creative mind, but at the same time, we are very data driven, and so it just seems like marketers are also becoming that way. They're becoming more data analysts than designers. But correct me if I'm wrong. Does that kind of sound right?
Man,
Did you hear any of that?
yeah, I did. I would agree with you
Okay.
before AI. I would agree with you. The only reason why I push back is,
Okay.
again, Gabe and I are brothers, and we're similar in certain ways, different in others. But I'm not very creative in that way. I'm super, analytical. I think you follow more to that end. We try to be creative, and we think we're cool, but then we're not really that cool. You know what I mean? Like that happens all the time. But the reason why I would say like before, but yeah, you got to be creative to do this. And I still need a creative mind outside of my own head to like give me that feedback, to like kind of open up my eyes, because I get siloed in. I feel like a lot of creatives are able to see, take a step back consistently and just see things that I don't see, especially the social media creators. Like I'm not in that zeitgeist. I am not in that world. So I definitely need that arm. Now, why I changed my mind now is because AI, like I mentioned before, has allowed us to test so many things. I don't need to be like, before, creatives in my mind were like a sniper rifle. Like I needed to make sure I got one shot, there it's a moving target. I need to be dialed in, so much preparation. And then all of a sudden now with AI, it's like heavy duty machine gun. I just need to start firing and figuring out what's working, what's not, and slowly work my way down. And budget wise, before is like a lot cheaper, for that $10,000 bullet that we said before in the rifle versus, I'm pennies on the dollar for all of this test that I can do through AI. But I do agree, like as a human, that it is less quality, right? But does it matter now than it does before? Yeah. So like, let's take this podcast, for instance. 2 years ago, you told me to create a podcast. I need to go buy a camera. I need to go buy a switcher. I need to go figure out the software. I need to do all of these things. I need to go find an editor. I need to spend 2 hours each video to edit this video, right? Shout out to Riverside. Riverside, I throw on this Google Meet, which I'm on every single day, every hour of my life, I feel like. And it cuts it all up. It segments all of the call outs to it. It does everything for me. So I'm like, all right, well, that barrier to entry for me now of like us expressing our thoughts on video podcast format is none. There is none of this, right? We're already talking like this throughout the day. So why not record it, produce it anyways? So there's like another side of me that's like, just do it now. There is no excuses, right? All right, it's not as great of quality. Well, because I don't have to pay another, overseas talent or local person to do it anymore, I can just do it myself. But I also respect those who have been able to do it previously, because holy smokes, like that is a lot of work and they are able to do that. But I have this now. Imagine what they're able to do now. So I think everybody's creative levels have just increased because of it.
Yeah, true. Yeah. And yeah, these tools are definitely becoming available for everyone. Um, I, that's kind of all I have in mind, David. I don't know if there's anything you want to touch on more, but I think, again, with all the stories that we talked about, um, all of these kind of tying together, but I think the brands that win won't necessarily have like the biggest budgets, right, David? Like they won't have, yeah, the biggest budgets,
Right.
but they'll have the best systems for testing, for measuring, and then of course acting on the data that they see. But that's all I have
Right.
for today's episode, David.
No, that's good, man. I appreciate everybody here. We are coming out with some pretty cool things with Anata Intelligence. Um, we wanted to kind of give that a call out. We're starting to open up beta testing right now. A lot of our clients have already been utilizing it. But picture this, everybody, all our five subscribers that are listening. One thing that we've noticed right now in the e-commerce world is we're getting hammered this year with tariffs, price hikes, fuel surcharges, every little thing. Amazon increasing their fees to us, Apple increasing fees for memory. So like everything is just increasing costs this year. Um, and I say Apple in general because it's just like, how can a massive company like this raise prices? And I'm trying to buy a MacBook right now. That's why I'm complaining about it. Raise prices by 20%. Like, this is ridiculous. Um, we're coming out with this system called Anata Intelligence. It's your e-commerce dashboard. From top to bottom, it will be able to and capable of showcasing your game plan, your strategy, what you need to do as a brand to overcome and understand what the landscape actually looks like. The dashboard pushes you through this outline of what is your goal for this ASIN? What is your goal as a company, as a brand? Let's pull that into your new system, Anata Intelligence. Let's pull in your brand kits. Let's pull in the competitive landscape out there. And let's understand what your goal actually is. Now, the coin e-commerce strategy, just the e-commerce algorithm or whatever it's called, it's sessions, conversions, order value, revenue. Let's just break it down there. So we need to know what the delta of sessions is. We need to understand what your customers are saying to convert better, right? We need to understand the price points to maximize your order value and offers. That's what's going to get you increased revenue. So we have a lot of cool things that's happening there. Imagine an omni-channel focused dashboard ready for you to grow sales. It's not just information that you need to manually pull together, but it's action. It's going to allow you to actually take action on this information inside of the platform. All right, well, here's the new title that you need to be testing. And guess what? It'll produce that title. It'll push it out to your sales channels. It'll test it. We have an experimental side where it'll track changes and automatic pull impact analyses on what's happening on on each platform. You're changed your title. Well, guess what? Here's your metrics before the title change. Here's the metrics after the title change. Hey, this is what actually you need to do for your hero image, because this is what the voice of the customer is saying. Here's what your target keywords are. Here's what the conversion rate is from new to brand to brand. These are all KPIs that you can kind of piecemeal together, but now in a single platform. So I'm going to be opening up a lot of this beta tests, trying to understand what people are saying, what people are needing, how this is going to impact everybody. But we're super excited to be rolling this out on the Anata side. Well, eventually we'll start be talking about a lot of the things of how we're going to be implementing this into the Anata Intelligence dashboard for our clients and for you guys, our listeners. But I'll get off my high horse there and wrap it all up.
No, that was great. And from just, I'll quickly touch on this too, being able to sit by you and see how you've been able to build this out. From our listeners, the biggest data analytical brain that I know, and David, it's super cool to see. I think everybody would definitely appreciate this software platform, and super excited for you to push it out. So yeah,
Cool.
It's super seamless as well, guys. It's pretty cool.
Thanks, man.
But
Appreciate it.
yeah,
You're
absolutely.
just trying to look for a raise, bro. What the heck?
No.
Just playing. Cool.
Cool.
Well, I'll
Well, yeah.
catch you guys all on the next one. It's been too long. We'll make sure to get it back up. Prime Day, 4th of July, summertime has just kicked our butts, but we will be back at it again. So thanks.
Awesome.
See you guys.
See you guys.